1 tablespoon before bed can lower your morning blood sugar. You've likely heard this claim. Apple cider vinegar, ACV, has exploded in popularity as a natural remedy for diabetes, with enthusiasts calling it a miracle and skeptics dismissed it as total nonsense. So, which is it? Can a kitchen staple really improve glucose control, or is this just another internet trend wrapped in hype? Unlike many viral remedies, ACV actually has scientific backing. Small clinical trials, including research published by the American Diabetes Association, suggest it can reduce post-meal spikes and lower fasting glucose. However, there is a catch. The effects are modest, the studies are small, and it is nowhere near a replacement for proper medical management. The truth is in the middle. A CV isn't a miracle, but it isn't a myth either. In this video, we're cutting through the noise to examine what ACV actually does to your cells, what the latest research reveals, and who should absolutely be cautious. No hype, no fear, just science and clarity. By the end, you'll know if apple cider vinegar deserves a place in your management plan, or if it belongs back in your salad dressing. What is apple cider vinegar, and why do people think it helps diabetes? Before we can decide whether apple cider vinegar helps with blood sugar, we need to understand exactly what it is. Understanding the chemistry helps demystify the magic. Apple cider vinegar is the product of a sophisticated two-step fermentation process that transforms simple fruit sugars into a powerful metabolic byproduct. It begins with crushed apples. In the first stage, yeast is introduced to the apple juice. These microorganisms consume the fructose, the natural sugar in the fruit, and convert it into ethanol or alcohol. This is essentially the same process used to make hard cider. In the second stage, a specific genus of bacteria called Acetobacter is introduced. These bacteria perform the metabolic heavy lifting. They consume the alcohol and, through oxygen exposure, ferment it into acetic acid. That acetic acid is the most important part of the conversation. While apple cider vinegar contains trace amounts of amino acids, minerals, and antioxidants, it is the 5% to 6% concentration of acetic acid that drives the metabolic changes researchers are interested in. When you see a bottle labeled raw or unfiltered, it often contains the mother. This is a cloudy biofilm of cellulose and various beneficial bacteria. While the mother is rich in probiotics that support gut health and your microbiome, scientific studies regarding blood sugar focus primarily on the acetic acid itself. This suggests that the primary glucose-lowering benefit comes from the acid's interaction with enzymes and digestive speed, rather than just the probiotics alone. So why has this become such a focal point for diabetes? Historically, vinegar has been a medicinal staple for thousands of years. Hippocrates used vinegar to treat respiratory ailments and wounds in ancient Greece. In modern times, researchers began to notice that when people consumed vinegar alongside a meal, their blood sugar readings were consistently lower. There are three main pillars of belief regarding ACV and diabetes. First is the theory of delayed gastric emptying, the idea that vinegar acts as a speed limit for food leaving the stomach. Second is the belief that it improves insulin sensitivity, making your cells more efficient at clearing sugar from the blood. Third is its effect on the liver, specifically in reducing the amount of sugar the liver pumps out overnight. These three factors combined, traditional use, logical biological mechanisms, and emerging clinical trials, have created a powerful narrative that ACV is a secret weapon for metabolic health. But as we move from theory to evidence, we have to look at what the controlled trials actually show. What the science really says about blood sugar. To separate fact from fiction, we must look at the gold standard of evidence, peer-reviewed clinical trials. Over the last 20 years, researchers have put apple cider vinegar to the test, moving it from the realm of folk medicine into the laboratory. While we don't have massive multi-thousand-person studies funded by pharmaceutical companies, several high-quality, smaller trials provide a remarkably consistent picture of how ACV impacts human metabolism. One of the most frequently cited studies was published in the journal Diabetes Care in 2004 by the American Diabetes Association. Researchers studied three distinct groups: people with normal insulin sensitivity, those with insulin resistance, prediabetes, and those with type 2 diabetes. All participants consumed a high carbohydrate meal consisting of a white bagel, butter, and orange juice. Before the meal, they drank either a diluted vinegar solution or a placebo. The results were striking. In the group with insulin resistance, the vinegar improved insulin sensitivity by a massive 34%. In the group with type 2 diabetes, sensitivity improved by 19%. Perhaps most importantly, the vinegar significantly lowered the glucose and insulin spikes that typically follow a heavy starch meal. This study is the foundation of the ACV trend, as it suggested that vinegar could actually blunt the impact of carbohydrates. However, a crucial detail often overlooked is that the vinegar worked best on starches. If the meal consisted of simple sugars like candy or soda, the vinegar had almost no effect because those sugars don't require the specific enzymes that vinegar inhibits. Another landmark study, published in 2007, focused on the dawn phenomenon. This is the frustrating experience where a person with diabetes wakes up with high blood sugar despite not having eaten for hours. The researchers found that participants who took 2 tablespoons of ACV with a small piece of cheese before bed saw a 4% to 6% reduction in their fasting blood glucose levels the next morning. For many, this is the difference between an in-range reading and a high reading. More recently, a 2017 meta-analysis published in Diabetes Research and Clinical Practice reviewed multiple clinical trials and concluded that vinegar could indeed be an effective tool in reducing post-meal insulin and glucose levels. It confirmed that ACV is a powerful tactical tool for managing individual meals and morning readings. However, it's important to be realistic about your A1C. Most ACV studies are short-term, and there is currently no strong evidence that vinegar alone can significantly drop an A1C long-term without being paired with broader dietary changes. It is an assistant in your management, not the primary driver of your health. How apple cider vinegar may work inside the body. Now that we have seen that the clinical data shows a measurable benefit, we have to ask the most important question. How does it actually happen inside the body? What is the specific chemistry occurring in your gut and your bloodstream? Scientists have identified 4 primary biological mechanisms that explain how acetic acid interacts with your metabolism to influence blood sugar. First is the inhibition of disaccharidases. These are the specific enzymes in your small intestine responsible for breaking down complex starches into simple glucose. Acetic acid appears to partially block their activity. When you eat a starch, like a potato, a piece of bread, or a bowl of rice, your body must chemically convert it into sugar before it can enter your blood. If vinegar slows this conversion, the sugar enters your system in a slow, steady trickle rather than a sudden, overwhelming flood. This prevents the spike and crash cycle that is so damaging to the cardiovascular health of people with diabetes. Second is the activation of AMPK, often called the body's master metabolic switch. This enzyme tells your cells to stop storing fat and start burning energy. When AMPK is activated, it encourages your muscle cells to move glucose transporters to their surface, allowing them to grab sugar out of the bloodstream more effectively. Interestingly, metformin, the most common diabetes medication in the world, works largely by activating the same AMPK pathway. Acetic acid acts as a much milder natural activator of this system, providing a complementary metabolic nudge. Third is the delay of gastric emptying. This is a physical mechanism where acetic acid signals the stomach to hold onto food for a slightly longer period before passing it into the small intestine. Since the small intestine is where the vast majority of glucose absorption occurs, slowing the exit from the stomach essentially creates a natural, timed release version of your meal. Fourth is the effect on the liver's glucose production. In many people with type 2 diabetes, the liver pumps out excess sugar overnight, a process called gluconeogenesis. Acetic acid helps suppress this output. This explains why the nighttime dose is so effective for morning readings. It essentially tells the liver to stand down until breakfast. While these mechanisms are real and scientifically grounded, they are supportive. They change the timing and efficiency of glucose processing, but they do not eliminate the total carbohydrate load or replace the fundamental need for insulin and healthy lifestyle choices. Who might actually benefit and who probably won't? One of the biggest mistakes people make when looking at natural health advice is assuming that if something is good, it's good for everyone in every situation. Metabolism doesn't work that way. Apple cider vinegar is a tool, and like any tool, it's only useful for the right job. Who might benefit most? People with insulin resistance or prediabetes. This is the group that usually sees the most dramatic results in studies. If your body still makes plenty of insulin but your cells are simply ignoring it, the insulin sensitizing effects of ACV can help bridge that gap. For someone with prediabetes, a small reduction in post-meal spikes can sometimes be enough to help keep their A1C in a safer range. People struggling with the spike. If you use a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, and you see your levels skyrocket after a meal and then crash, vinegar might help blunt that peak. It turns a mountain into a hill, which is much easier for your body to manage. Those with mildly elevated fasting glucose. If you wake up with numbers like 110 or 120 and want to see them closer to 95 or 100, a bedtime dose of diluted ACV might provide that slight downward nudge you're looking for. Who may not see much benefit? People with advanced long-term type 2 diabetes. If your diabetes has progressed to the point where your pancreas is no longer producing much insulin, beta cell exhaustion, vinegar won't be able to do much. It relies on your body's ability to respond to insulin. If the insulin isn't there, the vinegar has no partner to work with. People with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 is an autoimmune condition, not a condition of insulin resistance. While ACV might slightly slow the absorption of a meal, it will not reduce the amount of insulin you need to inject for those carbs. It should never be used as a way to skip or reduce an insulin dose. Those with a high sugar diet. As we discussed, vinegar works best on complex starches. If your diet is high in soda, candy, and fruit juices, vinegar will not be able to block those simple sugars. In this case, the vinegar is essentially being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of glucose. The realistic expectation is that for the right person, ACV might reduce a glucose spike by 15% to 20%, or lower a fasting number by 5 points. These are marginal gains. In the world of health, marginal gains are great, but they aren't miracles. Who should be careful and potential risks? Natural is not a synonym for safe. Concentrated acetic acid is a powerful substance, and using it incorrectly can lead to real health complications. This is the section most health gurus skip, but it is the most important part of the video. 1. Gastroparesis and digestive issues. Diabetes can sometimes cause nerve damage in the digestive tract, a condition called gastroparesis. This means the stomach already empties far too slowly. Because ACV further slows stomach emptying, it can make gastroparesis significantly worse, leading to severe nausea, bloating, and vomiting. If you already feel full for hours after a small meal, ACV is likely not for you. 2. Kidney disease and potassium levels. High doses of vinegar can potentially lead to low potassium levels, hypokalemia. This is particularly dangerous for people with chronic kidney disease, CKD, as the kidneys are responsible for balancing minerals in the blood. Additionally, the high acid content can place an extra load on compromised kidneys. If you have any stage of kidney disease, you must consult your nephrologist before using ACV therapeutically. 3. Medication interactions. If you are on insulin or secretagogues, like sulfonylureas, which force your pancreas to make more insulin, adding ACV could potentially lead to hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. Because both the medication and the vinegar are working to lower your sugar, the combined effect can sometimes be too strong. If you decide to try ACV, you must monitor your blood sugar more frequently to ensure you don't dip into a dangerous low. 4. Tooth enamel and throat irritation. Acetic acid is very effective at dissolving calcium. If you drink it straight, it will slowly eat away at your tooth enamel, which does not grow back. It can also cause acid burns in the esophagus if taken undiluted. We will discuss how to prevent this in the next section, but the risk to your dental health is very real with daily use. 5. The more is better trap. Some people think if 1 tablespoon is good, 5 tablespoons must be amazing. This is dangerous. Excessive vinegar intake can lead to metabolic acidosis, a condition where the blood becomes too acidic. Stick to the studied doses, usually 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. How to use apple cider vinegar safely and effectively. If you have weighed the risks, spoken with your doctor, and decided that ACV might be a good addition to your routine, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. The goal is to get the metabolic benefits while minimizing the damage to your teeth and stomach. 1. The golden rule. Always dilute. Never under any circumstances take a shot of straight apple cider vinegar. To protect your throat and teeth, mix 1 to 2 tablespoons, 15 to 30 milliliters, into at least 8 ounces, 240 milliliters of water. If the taste is too intense, you can use 12 or 16 ounces of water. 2. Protect your teeth. Even when diluted, the mixture is acidic. To keep the acid away from your teeth, use a straw so the liquid bypasses your front teeth. Do not brush your teeth immediately after drinking it. The acid softens the enamel, and brushing can actually scrub it off. Rinse your mouth with plain water afterward to neutralize the pH 3. Timing for maximum impact. There are 2 strategies based on what you are trying to solve. To reduce meal spikes, drink the diluted mixture about 10 to 20 minutes before your largest, starchiest meal of the day. To lower morning blood sugar, drink it about 30 minutes before bed. Some people find that having it with a very small, protein-rich snack, like a few almonds or a cube of cheese, helps prevent stomach upset overnight. 4. The salad dressing. Alternative. You don't have to drink it at all. You can get the same benefits by making a vinaigrette with ACV and olive oil, and eating a salad as your appetizer before your main course. This is often the most pleasant and sustainable way to incorporate vinegar into a diabetes management plan. The fiber from the salad plus the acetic acid from the vinegar provides a double-layered defense against blood sugar spikes. 5. Quality matters, but not for the reason you think. Look for an organic, raw, unfiltered ACV with the mother. While we said the acetic acid is what helps the sugar, the mother contains probiotics that support gut health. A healthy gut microbiome is linked to better weight management and insulin sensitivity, so you might as well get the extra benefit. 6. Test, don't guess. If you have a glucometer or a CGM, use it to see if the ACV is actually working for you. Test your sugar before a meal, then test it again 1 and 2 hours after a meal with ACV. Then the next day, eat the same meal without the ACV. If you don't see a difference in your numbers after a week or 2, then your body may not be responsive to it, and there's no need to continue the habit. Final takeaway. The final verdict is clear. Apple cider vinegar isn't a miracle cure that will reverse diabetes overnight, but it certainly isn't a total myth either. Science identifies it as a useful, low-cost tool that can help blunt post-meal spikes and nudge morning fasting numbers in the right direction, provided you use it safely and keep your expectations realistic. It is a supporting actor, not the main character. It works alongside a healthy diet and movement, not in place of them. If you found this evidence-based breakdown helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're dedicated to cutting through the noise and bringing you the science-backed clarity you need for your diabetes journey. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you tried apple cider vinegar as part of your management plan? Did you see a measurable change in your glucose readings, or did it not work for you? Share your experience in the comments below. Your experience helps our entire community learn. As always, consult your medical team before adding new supplements to your routine. Thank you for watching, and thank you for taking an active role in your health. We'll see you in the next video.